there situations in your life where you just are not, you made your mind up, I am not going to forgive, and you're adamant about it? Today, Janice and Annie Chit-Chat, we're going to go over what the impact of that is on your overall health, your well-being, all areas of your life. And then, as always, we're going to give you some simple tools to reframe. But the first thing that you need to do, the first part of this, is really understand what the impact of not forgiving is. So, Janice, chime in a bit, and then I'm going to give my example when
Okay.
I did.
Well, I think it's very important to define what is forgiveness. Okay. So forgiveness is designed to set you free. Forgiveness is an effort to eliminate anything that is going to get in the way of your emotional, spiritual, and physical life. So anything that conflicts with your well-being. Okay. So that's what forgiveness is. It's about setting a prisoner free, and that prisoner is you. It is a decision. It's not a feeling. It's a choice that you make to be free. And that's what forgiveness is. So I think we should start with that. What is it?
What is
And
it?
it's really a choice of setting yourself free.
Yeah, yeah. And the hard time, I, I think the reason people have a hard time with forgiveness is they have it mean that you're accepting or allowing that the other person shouldn't have any consequences. That's, it's making the situation okay, and it's absolutely not that at all. So forgiveness has this, okay, I forgive you, everything is okay now. Meaning
Right.
what you did was okay. What you did is acceptable. What you did is not, a harmful, mean thing to do. And
Right.
sometimes we're not forgiving on things. In our last talk, we talked about how we add meaning to things. Sometimes we get hurt and we're not forgiving somebody. They don't even know. They didn't mean, like, we took something the wrong way and
Yeah.
got all bent out of shape. I have an example of when I I did not believe I needed to forgive. So as I've brought up in other chit chats, I was 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 a victim of immigration marriage fraud. What that means is that a man, I don't know, maybe there's a different word, a person, uh, portrayed
Someone you knew.
what? Yes, someone, no, no,
Someone.
someone I barely knew, right? So anyway, so turns out I was used for someone to become an American citizen. I had
Mhm.
no idea that that's what was going on. So, but he was showering me with "I love you, I love you, I love you." Now,
Mhm.
because I did not love myself, it's when we have
Mhm.
a need that we can be lied to.
Mhm.
Because I did not love myself, this man saying, "I love you, I love you, I love you," you probably think, like, didn't you get an uh-oh feeling? Didn't you see a red flag? Didn't you see the writings on the wall? I had such a need. I was like a desert, needing love. I thought there was something wrong with me. I'm like, what's wrong with me that a man wouldn't love me? Which is not,
Mhm.
just forget any of that. But that's what was going on inside this little mind of mine. This little mind of mine. What a little tangent. Anyway, so along comes a spider saying, "I love you." And to not see the writing on the wall, he was saying, "I love you" in such a deep, profound way, like looking me in the eyes. And I really, really, really felt it. And it seemed to me that it was like this incredible, incredible, incredible bond. It's
Mhm.
called love bombing, literally. Um,
Mhm.
that, you couldn't see the writing on the wall. Like, didn't you see it coming? Like the light was so bright, I didn't even see the
Yes.
walls, right? It was just like this fantasy world of someone showering me with love and attention. It seemed like too good to be true. Anyway, he leaves while I'm at work one day. I did not, when I tell you I did not see it coming, it was just like And the hurt and the pain that then came, like the I went into denial a lot. Like it
Hmm.
really took me a long time to come out of that whole situation. Now I work with women who feel betrayed and victimized, right? And don't have a hard time, they don't want to forgive. But I remember in the first days of this breakup thinking, oh God, at some point I'm going to have to forgive, right? Because you just know. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. God's not even going to forgive this. Because it felt like my soul was raped. Like it just was so,
Mm.
for someone to say, I love you, and you feel it so deeply, and then they walk away like that, it was, it was, it just knocked me on my knees. Anyway, obviously, then my next thought was, all right, God will forgive, and really spiritual people like Gandhi. And then I
Hmm.
got to a point where I'm like, all right, I need months, whatever. I have to forgive. I forgive. I did act, blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking like, I think I forgive. I forgive. I forgive. And then one of my friends said something like that wasn't. Well, I'm like, you can't forgive. So I was like, I'll forgive, but my friends better not. So
Yeah.
there was a whole, all these layers of me feeling like I was justified in not forgiving because the level of hurt that I
Hmm.
felt. Now, the remedy or what I needed to do to get over that situation, as you had said, like he married another lady from their country and they're citizens and they had a kid and that kid's a citizen. I mean, he's gone on his own way. I haven't seen him. This happened in 2009, so however many, 13 years ago. So if I was still angry and bitter over that situation, like you said, that would be destroying my life. I'd probably never see that dude again. Um, it was healing the person that got into that situation in the first place, right? So A was the
Yes.
self love, but B, even if it was,
Annie before she met her husband.
yes, but even if someone has decent self worth and does get hurt, so that's not the only reason why we would be hurt
Hmm.
and feel like we need to forgive somebody or not want to forgive somebody. When you feel victimized, when you feel hurt, you need to heal the person that was hurt. And that's what
Hmm.
Janice and I are going to talk about a lot today.
Hmm.
There's that common saying, there's so many different sayings, you know, that it's almost like white noise, right? That saying, and it's so true. By not forgiving someone, it's, thinking you're giving them poison, but you took the pill. Like
Yeah.
there's so many things that you people they I really want our listeners at the end of our chit chat today to really get an understanding of the power of forgiveness. It's all about, I needed to forgive myself for
Yes.
getting into
Yes.
that situation and
Yes.
accept it. And I had
Yes.
to stop being a victim. I was
Yes.
being a victim. And by being a victim, I was not taking responsibility for my life, for my
Yeah.
choices, for my relationships, for who I was hanging out with, for my finances, for my well being, and on and on and on and on and on. Again, literally, I felt like my soul was raped. Now, my knees were knocked out from under me, so it was really like an extreme situation. Obviously, I lived to
Hmm.
tell the tale, and now I help other people who are going through it. But that was my example, my extreme example of this person does not deserve forgiveness. Um,
Well, it must have been hard, Annie, when were working so hard to support him. You were loving him with all your heart. You weren't giving him a fraction of your heart. You were loving him with all your heart. So there is definitely that feeling of, I guess, rejection that you felt
oh
when
yeah,
he left,
yep,
a feeling of, you lived a lie, the deceit that you felt. Like it really is a lot. And for you to be able to come out of this on top is amazing. To say that, I do forgive him. I forgive him. I let him go for my own freedom. So when you, for the first time, let him go and you say, you know what? Okay, God did already, Gandhi did already. Okay, maybe I'll try, but don't you forget,
I know that
when
was.
you But it comes like, when you're hemorrhaging, pain, it does come in stages. It's, everyone wants you to forgive because society says forgive. It's
Yeah.
the right thing to forgive. It's the Christian thing to give, or the religious thing to do. You need to forgive when you're not bleeding pain. And so, you know what? You did this in steps. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's how you began to forgive. So what you actually did was you put it in the atmosphere. Oh, well, Jesus did it. Gandhi did it. You were waiting to get to you, but you were throwing it in the atmosphere, not ready there because, you were bleeding, but now you've got scars and you have made peace with your scars, and that's a different place. But the question I have for you, so that day that you truly said, I am letting go and letting God, I am letting go of this stress, this wrong that he did to me, that I'm going to choose myself instead of, the idea that I'm right and it's human nature to hold on to grudges. When you made that decision to choose you over being right, what did that feel like?
That's an excellent. I love that you say choose that over being right. Um, I it came as I'm responsible for myself.
Mm,
It came as seeing how I played the role of a victim in
hmm.
so many, like in my mindset, I was a victim. And I look
Yes.
back at my first marriage and I played victim. And I looked at other relationships and I played victim. And when I say played, right, like when you go into a relationship and so easily take on that,
Mm,
um, so it was a moment when I all of a sudden said, wait a minute, you are 100% responsible for your thoughts, for your happiness, for your emotions, for accepting situations that you got yourself into.
mm,
So, yes, it was forgiveness. And I think that because what I actually did was not necessarily forgive him. I don't really think about him anymore. What I did was I forgave myself, right?
yes.
And now I forgive myself. As you had said, it was a process, it took a long time. So I don't hold any grudges against myself for it taking however long it took, you know?
Mhm.
Um, so,
It's
yeah,
like you said that I've suffered enough, and now you forgive yourself for giving him so much power.
yeah,
You forgave yourself for giving him so much power and letting you feel so awful about yourself.
yeah,
You took back your own power. And when you forgive someone, it is reclaiming your power. It's reclaiming your peace.
yeah,
Joel Osteen said something amazing. He said that when you are so angry with someone and you cannot forgive them and you're resentful and you have all these horrible feelings, you are not affecting that other person at all,
mm,
but you are infecting your body.
yeah, I love
You are contaminating your body. You are the one that has the pain and you have to cleanse it like a catheter. When we can't use the
it. Yeah,
facility, you have a catheter,
yeah, yeah,
right? You
yeah,
have to cleanse it out of your body because it literally is contaminating your life to carry resentment, bitterness, anger. It contaminates your life and wreaks havoc on your immune system, on your digestive tract, on your blood, on your brain. You are wreaking havoc on your life. And it truly is getting to the point where you say, you know what? I have suffered enough here. I have bled it out and I'm going to make peace with these scars.
yeah,
It's choosing you over the event, choosing you over the whole love affair. You're choosing you because you are more important and you aren't affecting him with this hate, but you are literally, giving him the poison pill, but you really took it
exactly.
and you're
Yeah,
killing yourself.
yeah,
Slowly but surely, you are like putting your body in harm's way.
yeah. It's interesting that you say that about what Joel Osteen said, because one of the ways that I have people visualize what actually happens with anger and not forgiving is think of your
Mm-hmm.
digestive system, right? So
Mm-hmm.
something happens and it's like you eat anger, like you eat, if you eat food, right, what happens? It goes down into your stomach and then you
Yeah.
digest it, right? So you get hurt. So the hurt is comes into your body. You don't have control over that. It's like waterboarding, right? So
Right.
the literally, right? So
Yeah.
the hurt and the anger come into your body. They're in there, right? That's in
Yeah.
there. That energy, right? So if you get someone annoys you in traffic, right? 2 seconds later, it's over and done with, right? So a
Yeah.
lot of times we get a little annoyed, go about a business. A little annoyed, go about a business. Get really, really hurt, and then we hold on to it, right?
Yeah.
Forgiving them means they're it's okay, and it's not okay what they did. So what winds up happening is, think about, it's like it not allowing your digestive system to process it, which would be to release the emotions or eliminate them from our body, right? The way our
Hmm.
digestion, after we process something, we digest it. And when something does hurt us, and it's a real smack in the face. So for myself, that was like wham. I No one held a gun to my head when I married him. I didn't
Hmm.
know that much about immigration. Like we were a couple of months in, and he's like, "Oh, my father got mad at me and canceled my green card." Like it doesn't work that way. Like I didn't even know. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, what? My love supply might have to." And he said, "I'm going to be deported." Like it was going to happen within a week, and that's not how it happens either. One of the things I needed to realize was I made choices that put myself in that situation, and forgive myself for that, right? So as we talked about in the very beginning, heal the person I was when I got myself into that situation.
I love one of the talks that you did. It's on your page, just your page, not ours. You were talking about the first thought that you have.
Mhm.
You can't control that first thought, but the second one you have the ability. So to take it one step further, it's like when you were talking about the digestion, it's like going to a cafe. And if you're thinking sick thoughts that are just not serving your body, because it doesn't, you open yourself up when you're frustrated and it's constant and it's chronic, you open yourself up to disease
Yeah.
and illness, and it's stagnant energy, so you could do the tapping to move that
Yep.
energy, or you can just have a better thought. Okay, so how do you do that? You go to a cafe. When you go to a cafe, let's say there's apple pie, there's peanut butter ice cream with chocolate sprinkles, and there's all these kinds of wonderful steak, shrimp parmesan, whatever you like. It's this wonderful cafe with all these things, but you happen to be allergic to peanut butter. You're not going to take the peanut butter ice cream because you know you'll get sick. You'll need an EpiPen. You're going to get hives. You could die.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
It's the same thing with your thoughts. When your thoughts are not serving your body, like when you would think about your ex, like, yeah, you did get fooled by him, but you know what? What did you learn from it? You'll never make that mistake again. What doesn't kill you
Yeah.
makes you stronger.
Yeah.
Like look at the positive. Don't look at the negative. Don't feed yourself thoughts that your body's allergic to. Feed yourself thoughts that, you can digest.
Yes.
Getting back to you,
Exactly. Yep.
that you can digest. That's
Yeah.
where I was going. When you went there, I was thinking of the cafe and the food and
Yeah.
digestion,
Yeah.
because you can digest that.
Yeah. And it's also as if like you eat bad food, right? So if you eat bad
Mhm.
food, it's almost like if you have food poisoning. So that's what
Yeah, you're
anger,
going to
something
throw
that,
up.
yeah. And
Your
then
body's
holding it
going to
in.
reject.
Like, man, you
Yeah.
want to throw up. Gotta get that stuff
Yes,
out.
yes.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that happens when we are upset. The brain responds. And, a lot of times we are addicted to our stress. We are
Hmm.
addicted to
Yeah.
stress because there's an arousal in the brain. There's a chemical explosion in the brain
Yep.
because you're looking for the next time you could be triggered, so hanging on to that ex-marriage, that man, like, and through counseling, you'll see like many times when you talk to people, you find out, well, how long have you been holding this grudge? 34 years,
Yeah. Yeah.
42 years, 50 years. And the way they say it, it sounds like it happened yesterday,
Yes. Exactly.
So this is like so unhealthy. And you have to get to a point where you realize you're actually addicted to that thought.
Yeah.
You're addicted to that arousal, that chemical reaction that you have. They don't even like the life that they have, but they're still addicted to the thought because they are living in their past. They're not living in the future. They're so in their past and they're reliving it. Like one of my clients, I said, literally, I see her legs wrapped around her villain. She's got very long fingernails. I see her claws in his back, and she had, like, I just gave her bangs. She doesn't have bangs Her teeth is in his neck because, it's so many years ago. Let him go.
Yeah.
Stop bringing him forward into your relationships.
Yeah.
Leave him home. You need to forgive it. You need to not keep reliving your past. And she tends to do that for a lot of things, not just in the relationship.
Well,
She's always
that's the pattern that we get into. Another thing I've talked about, I know in a previous chit chat, was you're hanging out in a pool, waist high, bunch of your friends, you're all chit chatting, and you have a balloon.
Yeah.
You have to hold that balloon underwater, right?
Mm-hmm,
That's not an easy, how
No.
relaxed can you be and hang out and really be in the moment because you're constantly having to do this? That's what anger, that's what unresolved, intense emotions are. They're distracting us from being in the present moment because we have all these judgments about ourselves and about other people. And when you bring up addiction, I'm a recovering addict from substances. An addiction is a way to avoid something. So when you're addicted, right? It is what do you what? So when you're addicted to something, if you weren't doing that, what would you be doing instead?
Right.
That's a really big question because very often it is something, a dream or a goal or something you're afraid to do or set a boundary, not be in a certain relationship, right? So it's easier to be angry at a partner than how am I going to get out of this relationship? There's kids, or there's this, or there's that, or our finances, or I'm afraid to be alone, right? How will I ever, So sometimes that anger and the addiction, like you said, the chemical changes that are going on within our body, it is an addiction. And when you go through a breakup or when you let go of something that you're addicted to, you go through a withdrawal. Your body, the chemicals in your body, the chemicals in your brain go through withdrawal. Now, when you talked about first thought, second thought, so powerful. We cannot control our first thought. So that's like bing, 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 right? Our brain has made an association. Beach, fun. Beach, sand. Beach, relaxation. Me, beach, lots of sunscreen. Right? So each of us, oh man, you see that? So, and some people might be like park, walk, park, grass, other park, ticks, right? So there's no right or wrong.
True.
Yeah. So what happens is with an addiction, so let's say it's angry, right? So if you're hurt, you're angry, it's like that person's name comes up, they hurt me, they hurt me, they hurt me. So change the second thought. Now, it's recognize this is not how I want to feel anymore. I don't want to feel this anger. I'm listening to Janice and Annie. They're right. I want to change my future.
Everyone's teachers in our life. Yeah. Everyone. They're teachers. The narcissist is a teacher. The abuser. Everyone's a teacher. Everyone's a teacher. The kind person's a teacher. We're all teachers. What did you learn in that experience? And say, oh, wow. So instead of like being the victim mentality, because a lot of times we love the drama. So we like the victim and then we could self-sabotage. We don't have to go for the job because we don't have the confidence, because we could fail because it's mommy and daddy's fault or because it's Johnny's fault or whatever you want to do. You blame it on whatever. But you have to take the responsibility for your thought. You always do. And the good news is you can. We all have the ability. It's a matter of training your body to do it when you're in the situation. How do you get good at it? You practice. It's repetition. Repetition is the mother skill. You practice and then you can do it.
In our self-love chit-chat, which we just recently released, we went over affirmations, and they were affirmations for us to improve our self-love. Now, there's all different types of affirmations, but there's affirmations that you create, that you use for something you want to create. So, for example, I'm creating my own business. I have a successful business. I manage my business well. I attract clients. I'm able to use social media with ease. These are things that make me nervous, right? What am I going to come up with? What content am I going to, that one's better. So you make affirmations as though it were true, not I want to be able to be a good business leader. I want to
Yeah.
be able to use social media to market. I want to be
Hmm.
able to sell my online courses. It's putting it in the present. My
Yeah.
online courses are popular and they help a lot of people. I posting on social media for marketing is easy. When I need to have a conversation with someone, explain my program, the conversation is smooth. Like I'm not nervous about making a sale. So affirmations and visualization is very,
Yes.
very powerful. Now, I happen to be, I'm a huge fan of Mike Dooley. He wrote a book, he wrote lots of books, but one of his books is Infinite Possibility, which he turned into a training program. I
Hmm.
became an Infinite Possibilities certified trainer or something, right? So,
Okay.
one of the things that he teaches, and other people may teach this as well, but I like to give a shout out to his name because this is where I learned it as
Yeah.
a certified trainer, is
Okay.
looking at something that you want to create as a GPS, right? So when
Okay.
you put
Yes.
something
Yeah.
in your GPS,
Uh-huh.
you put that address in, you just follow, you didn't even think about it anymore.
Yes.
Like you just trust
Right.
that you're going to get there, right? So a goal, if so, this is what I want our listeners to do because you can start forgiving. Your body can start to relieve that stress, that the stress response, the fight or flight. You can have the physical healing
Yes.
even before you're ready to forgive. You can
Yes.
already start healing. So one of the things that you can do is picture the end result. So the GPS is the
Yes.
end result. When you put the end result in your GPS, you
Hmm.
start the car and you follow detour, reroute, right? So the end result is you've forgiven this person and you've forgiven yourself. So that is the end result. Me just even
Yes.
saying that now, I'm just like, right?
Yeah.
So just imagine what it will feel like. What is your body? What are you going to experience that you have completely forgiven this person? It doesn't matter what they did. Let them go live their own life. You're living your life. What does that feel like? What are your thoughts? You're no longer ruminating, right? Your body is freer. You might lose weight. You might not, be binging on dessert, or you might not be avoiding foods, or
Hmm.
you see yourself going to the movie theater where, you went with that date, with that husband all the time, and it was a special place. Now you go there with no big deal. So take on the emotions, the thoughts, what all of your five senses will be experiencing
Yes.
when when you forgive. And even if right now you're like that never deserves to be forgiven.
Can you repeat that? And one more time.
that never deserves to
Eh,
be forgiven. You can be
yeah.
there and still start to take steps towards your healing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
I think it's the 5 4 3 2 1 grounded method is what they
Oh,
call
I
that.
never heard of that before. What is that?
Yeah, it's taking your five senses and using it to either have to forgive something, or if you have to calm yourself down, what are 5 things you need to see? 4 things, like if you need to distract your mind, it's 5 4 3 2 1 grounding.
Oh,
You could do it different ways. It's one way is your way. Another way is, let's say that you're having a hard time and it's wreaking havoc on you because you keep thinking about this guy that did you wrong. Well, you know what? Just change what are 5 things I can see right now? What are 4 things I can hear? What are 3 things I can touch? What are 2 things? But really be like, when you do it, 3 things I can hear. Is it loud? Is it soft? Is it pleasing? Is it not? It could be the lawnmower outside. Oh yeah, that guy, he always wears the orange hat.
yeah.
So you take your mind somewhere else and you
Yeah, you
start using,
redirect it. That's an excellent
you
way
redirect it.
to interrupt the ruminating thoughts.
Yes, yes, yes.
Those ruminate, like when you're like, "Ugh," when you're fixated and obsessed, those obsessive thoughts, that's part of withdrawal from an addiction. you know, and be
Yeah.
really, really
Yeah.
angry. And like you said, like if it's 30 years later and if that person comes to
And
mind,
it
you're
is
just
a
like,
lot, and it's really sad.
it is.
It's sad to struggle so long over the same thing, reliving it day after day, but that person is really choosing to live in their past,
Yeah.
and they're not looking at their future. They have to be more in love with their future than they are with their past.
Yeah.
And people cling on to the past, but when you look backwards, you can't see where you're going, and that's when you trip. I always tell my clients, you look forward and up at God, forward,
Yeah.
up at God. You get a little nervous, up at God,
Wow.
forward.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
you start looking back, you're going to walk into a wall. You're going to fall down the stairs. You're going to get bloody. It's not good. Get out.
That's
Get out
excellent.
of
That's
that.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. You
Yeah.
know what another thing about forgiveness is? When someone hurts someone we love, right? I
Oh, I have a story for you.
Yeah, right. When someone hurts someone we love, then
Mm-hmm.
that is like, it's one thing. Oh yeah, I forget. It's when we, but
It's hard.
yeah, I'm gonna
It's
grab my water. I'm gonna go off camera for a second. But tell
yeah.
me your story. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to tell you. So, this was a TED talk that I saw. It was a fabulous TED talk. It was about this woman who her mother and her brother was murdered. Okay, so you talk about true forgiveness, what you have to do. I mean, that's something tough to forgive. Her mother was murdered. Her brother was murdered. It was the brother's 17-year-old friend that murdered. He came in. It was Christmas time. And this kid wanted to buy gifts for his family. And he thought, well, you know what? This family has, I'm going to go rob 3 days before Christmas. So he breaks into this house and his friend was sleeping on the couch. And let's call the brother Tim. Tim was sleeping on the couch. And what happened was he woke up when he found his friend stealing in his house. And he's like, what are you doing? The kid got so scared, he shot the kid and the kid died immediately.
His
The
friend.
mother heard, yeah, his friend, he shot his friend.
Wow.
He ran out of the house, but he left his coat there. He came back to get his coat, but in the meantime, the mother came down the stairs and she was over her son screaming. He got so scared, shot her too, killed her, and ran out of the house. Okay. This is a 17-year-old kid. Okay. That did this. So this young girl, who I believe she was at the 12th grader at the time, lost her mother and her brother on the same day. Now, of course she's devastated. They're horrified. She goes through, 7 years of her life, and she talks about these 7 years, how wherever she went, she brought her brother, anything that she went through, she would say, oh my God, my mother's not here. And she, on her wedding day, my mom's not here. Oh, wow, I don't even have children. Even thinking in the future, my mom's not here. My brother's not here. That villain, he did this to us. He
Yeah.
did this.
Yeah.
So there was always a connection. And wherever she went, no matter where she went, if it was a good thing, she brought her mother, her brother, and the villain, because they weren't with her to share that holiday. They weren't there to, watch TV and eat popcorn, but one always reminded her of the other two. She thought about the villain. She thought how she didn't have her parents. She thought she didn't have her mother. If she thought of her mother, she thought how she also didn't have her brother. And she said she carried this posse with her wherever she went, through good times, boring times, happy times, sad times. It was a posse that it got so heavy. This unforgiveness got so big, it got bigger and bigger. And this is what happens when you have resentment and you have a worry and you have, all this anger. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you get smaller and
Yeah.
smaller and
Yeah.
smaller. And finally, she got so crowded out of her own body. She was so depressed. She had no place to go that she said, oh my God, I gotta forgive this guy because I can't breathe. I can't go anywhere. I can't think about anything and not say what I'm missing.
Yeah.
So the first thing that she did was to truly forgive him. Even though she once said she did, it was a lie. She only did it because they told her to, and it's better and it's the fastest way to healing, but she did it. And that's the thing about forgiveness. You don't do it for someone else. You don't do it for society. You don't do it for your religion. You do it for you. But at that point, like, she was hemorrhaging pain. She couldn't do it yet. It took her 7 years
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
over, this horrific trauma in her life. And finally, she got to that crossroad where she said, I have chosen myself, because this was more important to her than being right,
Yeah.
and so she let go. And she said when she let go and truly said, I'm letting go of this, she felt this spiritual healing.
Wow.
She said at first she missed the villain, because she needed to hate somebody. She
Oh, it was
needed
so
to,
ingrained.
it
Yeah.
was serving a purpose,
Yeah.
and it was like a connection. It was also serving a connection that she had with her mother and her brother. It was kind of keeping them alive
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
had this hate. She had this hate until it got so disgusting in her body to carry so much and
Yeah.
to, oh, I'm married, I love you. My mom's not here, my brother's not here on the honeymoon. Too bad my mom and
Yeah.
my brother
Yeah.
couldn't come. Too bad. Like it just wherever she went, they were a posse.
Yeah.
It was the villain, the mother, the brother, and her.
Wow.
Wherever they went, they were one. And
Yeah.
she had to give it up for her sake, and she was able to do it.
Yeah.
But when you don't forgive someone, you sign a blood oath, this contract, you have this contract, and it's like this little gremlin that's attached to your side, and you bring it wherever you go. And you will say, because I don't forgive, let's say it's a parent, you were mean, whether it's true or not, it's the person's, version of what mean is.
Yeah.
You're mean, and it's your fault that I never got a job, and it's your fault I can't make it because you abused me, and blah, 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 blah. There's got to be a point when you're 44 that this is not mommy and daddy anymore.
Yeah.
You've got to get to a point where you take responsibility for your life. And that is why they say forgiveness is a decision. It is not a feeling.
Yeah.
It's a decision to forgive. And finally, with this woman, I thought it was a great, I use her as an example all the time with my clients because like when they're trying to forgive someone for not liking their shoes,
Yeah.
I tell them this story because truly that is something that is much more challenging. And this woman could do it. Certainly you can forgive them for maybe they didn't like your shoes because they just probably went out and bought them because they like them.
Yeah.
So that's that story. And I thought it was a great one. And I think that our listeners, if you're hanging on to the past, you really need to say, why am I hanging on to this? Why won't I let this person go? Why, I've been divorced for 25 years. Why am I saying, look what he did? Look what he did to the, what it's serving a purpose. And that is the work. What purpose is it serving you to hang on to the anger? What purpose? What is it doing? And again, Annie, it goes back to the science part of it. It's an addiction.
Yep.
It's a chemical that's released in the brain.
Yeah.
It's an arousal, and you're addicted to it, and you're waiting for the next knee jerk, the next trigger, so you can scream again. Yep, and he did this. Oh, did I ever tell you? Yeah, 14 times you told me.
Yeah.
And every time you repeat your story, what you're doing is you are creating more transmitters in your brain. What you're doing is you're making those transmitters deeper and deeper and deeper. You're trying to break this anger that's infecting and contaminating your whole body. But as you talk about it and you keep thinking about that thought over and over, and you're justifying it because suddenly you're a detective with the most biggest magnifying glass you ever had. It's like bigger than the universe, that you could see every bad thing that ever happened to you with this person. You could write them down, and what happens is that's an addiction, and you need to stop that addiction.
Yeah. Because what are you avoiding doing for yourself?
Right.
Any
But how do
addiction,
you
you're
do it?
avoiding doing something for yourself.
Yeah. But how do you do it? How do you do it? You talked about visualization, and that's true because think about the mind movies. We have Dr. Joe Dispenza. He talks about mind movies that you make, that you create, and I know
mind movie. I'm
everything
like,
is
what movies are you
visualization.
talking about? Like Matrix? What? Like which movies?
No, it's a mind movie. It's really what the Olympic athletes do. Any athlete.
Oh, visualization. Sure. Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew I'd get a brownie point if I talked about visualization.
One final thing from me. In the past, I have gone over the angry letter. It's an exercise that I do in my courses. So I'll just do a tiny little quick shout out about it. And again, you can use this whether you're ready to forgive or not. So if you are like, right, take a piece of paper. If you're in one of my courses, you get a form. But anyway, you take a piece of paper and you write, dear, maybe put a few adjectives, right? And then start every single sentence with the word you. Do not hold back. Nobody, nobody, nobody is ever going to see this letter. So think of three things right now. You are a, or you ruined my life when you did, right? So, and completely let loose. Like we were saying, like if you have food poisoning, let it out of your system. Release,
Yeah.
release,
Bleed it out.
releasing, right?
Bleed it
So
out.
now
Throw it
when you
up. Do what it
release,
needs to.
what do you want to do? Suck it back in again? No. Now that you release, you want to fill it back up with calm, with peace, with the type of energy that you
Mm-hmm.
said, right? So when you're releasing, that's part one. Part two, take each statement in the angry letter where it says, you are, you did this, you did that, and all your venom, every curse word, things you're afraid to think, write it, write it, write it, write it. Let it out. And you're going to change it to wherever it says you, I forgive you for. I forgive you for. Whether you believe it or not, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
in my classes, I have people, well, they might not say it out loud, right? But you think of the sentence in your head, I forgive you for ruining my life, you blah, 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 blah. And then you write it, I forgive you for ruining my life, you blank, blank, blank. And then you think it again. So you're actually going through the statement 3 times. You think it, you write it, you think it. And do that with each statement in the angry letter. Again, this is something I have people do that were in the position I was in. I did not feel like that person needed to, I thought God wasn't going to forgive him, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was my energy. That was me being pigpen, right? It impacts
Mm-hmm.
all areas. It impacts how you trust other people or not. It impacts, your health, your well-being. Like we talked about self-confidence, whether or not you're going to ask for the raise. Like
Yeah.
being angry and not forgiving is is toxic. So you rewrite that and then rip them both up. Nobody, nobody, nobody ever sees these. And the thing is,
Nice.
if you write that angry letter that I just said, you have to write the second letter. Do not write the angry letter and not write the second one. It's mandatory 2-part exercise. So thank you for listening to this chit chat. Make sure you hit subscribe and click the bell so that you're notified when we have more of our little talks. Do not hesitate to either send us a private message through Facebook or well, I guess you can't do it on YouTube. Don't hesitate to send either Janice or myself a message asking for a topic you'd like us to talk about or suggest a topic and maybe some feedback on other things that you think we could go into deeper. We'd love to hear it. But in the meantime, as you can probably tell, Janice and I really don't have a problem coming up with things to talk about. And this is another 25-minute video. That's the goal. The goal is always 25 minutes. Anyway, Janice, what do you have to say as a final goodbye to our listeners?
I think that just choose to be happy. It's a decision. Forgiveness is a decision. Remember, it's not a feeling. And if you need to bleed it out, bleed it out. You need to release it. You can get Bob from the gym, punch him. Punch your pillows. Definitely bleed out stress.
Yeah,
It's a healthy thing for the body. And then have clarity. And know that you're worth healing, that no one should
yep,
have power over you.
yeah.
If don't worry if someone didn't apologize, you don't need their permission to
Absolutely. You
heal.
may never get an apology. There's a lot of
Right, right.
people.
And you don't need their permission to heal.
Yep.
You just choose you. And yes, you're right. And that's it.
You're
But you're
worth
more
it. Yeah. And
important
you're
than
not
being right.
defined by what hurt you. You're not defined by what
Right.
hurt you. So
Exactly. That's it.
that's our chit chat on forgiving people that don't deserve to be forgiven.
That's right.
All right. We will see you next time. Chit chat out.
Peace.
Peace. Chit chat out.